Okay, so what inspired you to pursue your career in theater?
Believe it or not, it was more growing up and having an influence from my grandma, who was very encouraging of performing arts. And I started off in band, and then I went from band to doing some theater stuff, and went from doing a lot of band, and then went into singing, and then from singing, kind of just led into performing on stage for an audience, and I got the bug for it, and I really enjoyed it. But my biggest encourager, inspiration was from my grandma.
Have you ever performed, and what was your experience?
Have I ever performed? I have performed a lot, and I would say to start off with, little nervous at first. I remember doing stuff in high school and just being nervous to get out there, even singing in front of people. My voice would get a little shaky from the nerves, but the more I performed, the more comfortable I felt with myself and was able to overcome it. I want to say I still get little jitters just before going on stage, but that's literally when I'm like right on the backstage, like in the wing, waiting to go out, and just to get that. You're so excited for it too, and you're like a little nervous because you don't know how the crowd's going to react. But I kind of live for that. Like I kind of like that. I like that little nervous excitement that I get.
Yeah. And what is your favorite form of theater and why?
My favorite form of theater, obviously musicals. Sometimes don't get me wrong, I love plays as well, but sometimes I feel like I have those moments of watching a play thinking, wow, this would be a really good time to put a song in, like right here. Or you're watching it and you're like, okay, I need like something, like I need dancing or something. I think you get a good excitement and entertainment when you have that flashiness of a song or a dance happening, because it helps to break up dialogue. And I feel like it captures the audience, and I know from my own experience as an audience member, it captures my attention a little bit better.
And what is your favorite and most memorable play or performance that you performed, and why do you love it so much?
So I did Singing in the Rain, and I think I enjoyed it so much because it was such a large cast, and we were really able to bond as a full ensemble. I had my lines, I had my dancing that I had to do, and so for this one it was kind of a neat experience because I had a minor role as well. So with the minor role, I got to hang out with all the other ones who are quote unquote just the main actors, right? But then because I was also dancing outside of that, I got to also hang out with all the dancers. So you had your main performers, your dancers, and then you had just the rest of the ensemble that are like the filler, that they come in, they help to sing and fill up and make it more of a spectacle when you're watching, because you're like, oh, the stage is so grand. But I didn't really get to bond with them because I was bonding. It was a new experience for me to be able to bond with just the dancers and the main principal actors. And because I got to do both, I felt like I got a little bit better of a growing experience for myself.
What does it take to become a good actor?
Just rehearsing, really, and follow through. Don't just tell yourself, oh yeah, I'll do that. You need to actually do it. I think you have to definitely get outside of your comfort zone. And it's like what I tell you guys too, if you feel dumb or silly doing something, that probably means you're doing it right. It's so easy to get on stage and see all the lights and you're like, oh! But you really just need to, the more you're rehearsing, the more you're getting yourself out there, the more you're making yourself vulnerable, really is how you'll grow.
How has theater changed you?
My confidence.
Confidence?
Yeah, it's easier for me to get in front of a group of people and just either, again, be my dorky self or be able to kind of not command an audience, but to really be able to pull in their focus and their attention and not feel so nerve-wracking when even in front of here at the school in front of parents. It's easy for me to address a whole audience and not feel like I'm going to stutter over myself or I'm going to have moments of panic of I don't know what to do. So a lot of times improv stuff comes into effect, and I'm able to just kind of just go with it and wing it, and it makes it a little bit easier for sure.
And what is the most important part of a play or a musical, in your opinion?
The most important are the people, the actors, honestly. If you don't have those main actors on stage, there's no play, right? There's no musical. You have to have the right ensemble of people in order for an audience to be able to sit there for 2.5 hours, 3 hours maybe, and feel like they've been part of a story. And it really takes a special group of people to be able to pull and entice those people in.
In your opinion, how had theater changed through time? So like when you were like in high school and then now, how did it change?
So I guess you could probably look at it from multiple perspectives, but I know for me, just growing in myself and what I have, or what I want to accomplish, and have accomplished, it's going from theater that's kind of simple productions into getting into more challenging productions. You can look at it as in, I felt like I did a lot of stuff that was more of like kind of like the classic theater that you think of, whereas now there's so much more modern, and there's so much more knowledge about just social, emotional aspects of life that plays have started to incorporate into the writings to make it even more relatable to even like younger audiences as well. So you're not getting those old kind of classics that are still good that come out back around every once in a while, but you're getting some modern plays and musicals that are dealing with what we're doing with like today's world. It's not just this fantasy of what was long ago, but we're actually being able to relate better with things that are now.
And was technology like a big part of like the change also?
Yeah, I mean, you have special effects definitely that have changed. A lot more people are using projection instead of trying to, especially for smaller theaters, it's a little hard when you have these big massive props and backdrops that need to come in, whereas now they're able to use more projections with it and to help still give that illusion or that effect that you would see on a larger scale, which is kind of cool.
And how do actors remember so many lines? Do you just like practice?
It's practice, honestly. Getting yourself some time to be able to rehearse lines. It sounds awkward and weird, but you being in front of a mirror and saying your lines, because you might think that you're saying a line a certain way and that your facial expression is expressing what you're trying to say, but then you go to look at yourself doing it, or so say you're too awkward to like stand in front of a mirror, like I don't want to talk to the mirror because I'm talking to myself looking like a crazy person, then set up a phone or a camera and do it in front of the camera. That way then you can go back and really review yourself and go, oh, I need to read that line differently, and so that way I know my face will make a change with this different tone of voice that I'm saying it, but have someone there to help you read lines back to you. So say you're doing like partnering, right? Scene partnering, and it's a little hard when you're just trying to memorize and say the lines out loud. It works to a degree, but eventually you need to have someone to play off of and to help you with it.
And if you were to meet one famous person related to theater, who would be and why?
Oh, that's so hard because I think I go pretty classic, honestly. Who I think would actually be really cool, because they're like still alive, would be Hugh Jackman, honestly, because he actually started off. People just think Wolverine and X-Men movies and stuff, but he actually started off in musical theater, and it's how I got introduced to him was actually from watching a taping of when he did Oklahoma at the Sydney Opera House, and he's just so good. Like his voice is actually that's his voice. Like it's so good, and he takes on anything you see him in. He fully takes that character on, and I just think he's a really great actor, and it'd be kind of cool to meet him. And
do you watch it during like high school or college?
For his, would have come out when I was in high school.
Uh-huh.
And it was one of those where it was filmed, so the stage production of Oklahoma was filmed on stage at the actual opera house that they showed us, and I just remember thinking it was so cool because I was in high school when he did it, and then PBS is the one that recorded it, and then they put it out so that way people could either buy it, or then they did like a special where you're able to watch it too. And as we were watching it at school, and then ended up watching it, it was like on TV for some random day, and I remember sitting with my grandma watching it thinking like it was like the best thing ever. And it's not like it's Oklahoma, so it's not a popular production nowadays, but it had a huge it's a huge impact when it was written, the time it was written. And so to see it on stage with Hugh Jackman is like pretty cool.
Would you say he influenced you into like going to theater?
Being of a younger mind, I would say probably it did. Because I do remember having such an impact of watching it and thinking like, hey, that's really cool, and he's such a great singer on stage. So I'm sure it definitely had somewhere in my psyche, in the back of my mind, just back there thinking how cool Sutton Foster would be really, really cool to see too. She's great at tap dancing. She goes to sing and it looks like it's coming out of her just flawlessly and just super easy without her having any effort to try really hard.
How long does it take to like prepare for a show?
Really depends on the show, to be honest. The bigger the production, the more time you need in order to have great quality to it. If you think something on a high school level could be a matter of a month to 2 months kind of situation. It depends on how enthusiastic your actors and your dancers and your ensemble wants to be. The more they want to be involved, makes it a little bit easier because we know that they're going to go home and do all the homework that they need to do in order to do all the memorization. Going home and practicing their dancing and making sure that they're learning their moves the right way. So really the time and effort depends on how big a production you want, depends on your actors, your dancers, your ensemble. You could even have a live orchestra, so it depends on how long it takes them to learn the music for it. I always prefer a live band versus just the track, because the track you're kind of stuck, right? You have to do it in the time that is recorded. When you have a live orchestra or band, it makes it a little bit more relaxing, because if you want to, as an actor, you feel like there's a part that should maybe be slower because the actor's having this moment. You now have that freedom during rehearsals with the band to say, hey, this section, we're going to slow it down a little bit because it's more meaningful for the actor or for this character's moment. So you're able to have that creative freedom with the live orchestra versus the recording, because then you're just trapped in this thing like, oh, I can't slow it down because then it's going to be really weird. But otherwise, I think it's honestly just really depends. If you want this grandeur kind of thing, it's going to take a little bit longer, especially all the pre-work that goes into it, all that prep time. Like for you guys, you're doing something in December. I'm planning it and looking at things in the summertime already for it, right? And you have your few songs that you're doing, right? All the classes, but I'm already looking. It's July, and it's Christmas in July for me because I'm looking at all the songs and in my head trying to think, okay, will this work well? And then trying to figure out, okay, what were some of the choreography that I could do with this? I don't think it'll work. So I'm already planning way out before the school year even starts. Right?
What advice would you give to someone who wants to pursue the journey of theatrical performer?
Let's read that one more time.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to pursue the journey of theatrical performance?
Theatrical performance?
Theatrical, sorry.
You're good. Keep doing it as long as you're loving it. Don't feel like you have to do it because you feel like you got stuck doing it. Do it because you have that love for it. And then when you're starting to feel burnt out or tired, think about the reasons why you wanted to do theater, right? Is it, just for me, I can say I get a fun rush out of it. I love the people that I meet in it. So my advice usually when I pass it off is do it because you're loving it. Do it for yourself. Do it for that crazy fun feeling that you get from it. Make sure that you don't let your own integrity, how do I want to phrase that? Keep to your integrity. If there's a show that you feel like you shouldn't do, don't do it. If you're in the middle of a show, you know, you're starting off, it's not performance time, but you're in those rehearsals and you're just like, this isn't working out. Don't be afraid to like actually speak up for yourself. It's important for an actor to speak up for themselves, because it's so easier for a producer or for a director just to say, I want it this way, this way, this way, this way. Well, sometimes directors have it in their head how they want it to go, but as the actor, you're going through something and you're thinking, I don't get that. So it's okay to speak up, not in any rude way, but just to have that dialogue, have that conversation, and have an open conversation with your director, you know, the producer, and just say, this is what I'm feeling. Let's talk about how you're feeling about it, and then this is how I'm feeling about the character. And a lot of times, a lot of directors go, oh, you know what, I respect that. That wasn't what I was kind of thinking for this moment, but I like what you're thinking. Let's go with it. How many times has it been where you guys either are saying something or you're like, I kind of like this move as a choreography move, and I'm looking at it going, oh, you know what, I do, yeah. Forget what I just did or forget what I'm going to do. I liked what you did better. I'm going to go with that. So it's don't be afraid to speak up for yourself. Don't second guess going for an audition. Always go for it. If you have to think about it, just do it. It's better to put yourself out there and then at least get your face shown, because then you start to be able to network and you start seeing, as you're going around to auditions, you start to see familiar faces, and then people talk. A lot of what we do nowadays is networking, right? And it's all about who you know. So it's strive for that. Like, you want to better yourself always, right? Everybody always wants to better themselves. Get yourself out there. Get to know people. Get to know choreographers. Get to know, composers. Get to know directors, because you never know when sometimes you might just get a call saying, hey, I'm looking for this type of person. I think you'd be a great fit. Right? That's what started happening with me. I don't even remember the last time I went on an audition, because now it's, you make such good friends or you make such good acquaintances that now they just reach out and say, hey, I need a dancer for this, or hey, I need an actor to do this, this, and this for me. Want to do it? I'm like, sure, let's have fun. Right? So you start to get to a point where you start to pretty much feel like you almost know everybody in the theater world. But it's all about networking, really getting yourself out there, and truly getting outside of your comfort zone.
If you could describe theater in 3 words, what would it be and why?
3 words? 3 words. Emotional. I feel like that's like the biggest word. I'd say emotional. Driven. Creative. So emotional because you I feel like in all aspects of the theater realm, no matter what you're doing, emotions are always going to be a part of it. Even you as the character, you as the actor trying to build a character, you're going to get emotions involved with it, to the point where you may be laughing and not realizing that I'm not laughing because it says to act this way. I'm laughing now because I'm fully involved with this character, and the emotion has taken me into being able to laugh. I'm crying because I've felt the anger and the frustration of this character, and that emotion has hit me so hard that I'm actually, as the actor, crying in this real moment. You're going to have real moments like that, and it's awesome. It could be as far as, you don't have the right lighting, so you're getting so mad about that. The music's not going in the way you want it. So there's emotion on all ends of the spectrum that come into depending on your position in theater. Driven, because you do need to have, if that's something that you want to pursue, you have to be driven for theater. You have to want to put yourself out there again. Especially if you want those main roles, you got to just do it. Right? It's a little bit easier when you're just like, I just want to be one of the fun dancers off to the side, or I just want to be a part of a show, so I just want to do ensemble. You'll definitely have your challenges with that, but if you want those principal roles, you have to be the one that's going and just either getting yourselves to auditions, you are putting yourselves in classes to help better yourself as an actor, and truly understanding the character and putting your own mindset into the character, and in order to develop that. I would say for my third one, the creative, it's performance arts, right? It's all creativity. You get this crazy freedom and this cool outlet to be able to, anything you've been internalizing now gets to all come out. Right, so especially if you want to be a playwright, right, you're writing the scripts, and you have this thought, you have this creative writing freedom now, to where everything that's been in your heart, everything that's been in your mind, now gets to come out, and you get to write it all, and then eventually you get to see it put into production, right? That's at least the goal, right? That's one of the things that I love teaching you guys when it comes to script writing. My classes always have a period where they get to write their scripts, then you get to act them out in front of us, right? So you get to experience a little bit of that. You get the experience of, what if you just want to go in the lighting, right? So now you get to be that person up at the top looking at the stage below and figure out how you're going to do the lighting, and that's where that emotion comes in as well. Because what if it's more melancholy mood? You're going to have bright lights up on the stage, they're probably going to dim out, right? You're probably going to have washes of a bluish color, right? Something that's going to give the audience this perspective of, oh, we're coming in, right? So you get that cool creative freedom to know, okay, I need my lighting to bring in this moment, right? Because it's going to help accentuate it, right? You're the director. It's you directing everybody, right? You get to tell everybody, this is my vision, this is what I want you to do it, right? Whether you're the composer, right? So it's all a creative outlet, and I think it's very important to have and to maintain.
How do you see the future of theater heading?
I feel like more technology based, and I see less giant stages, less huge stages, and more what they would call black box theater, where it's small, intimate settings. When I would do stuff in the smaller ones, I felt like I felt like I was able to connect with the audience better and to connect with the character better. Just having that more intimate moments with the audience, even if it's like a comedy kind of thing, it's just, I don't know, there's something different about having that smaller theater and knowing that you're up. I feel like you're up close, right? Up close and personal. Whereas if you're on a big giant stage and you're so far away, sometimes as an audience member you can start to feel and get into this moment of what's happening, but when you're so close to each other, you really get that feel. So I feel like I see more smaller little, almost you could say like pop-up theater kind of happening, and not so much larger productions, and then the use of more technology with that.
All right, last question. If you could go back and re-choose your career, would you still consider theater as your path?
I could go back
and repick.
So I think I would have still been part of a theater world, even if it was just to be a musician, because I grew up playing my trumpet, and I was going to pursue more of that as the hobby. So I feel like that probably would have come into play. I never really saw myself as like a soloist musician kind of thing, but being part of something larger, I feel like was always my thing. So I don't know. I don't think it would change it. I think it definitely has helped me make so many friends. I've met people that I think such diversity from all sorts of different backgrounds that I don't think I would have met any other way. You know, and I get to meet people from all walks of life, you know, and unless you're a traveling businessman and you're going all over the place, I feel like there was no other way that I would have been able to experience that. Sure.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.